Have you ever used a really smart, fancy word to impress someone in a conversation? Or maybe you used it in a super important academic essay, only to realize later that you accidentally changed the entire meaning of your sentence.
Oh, yeah. That is the worst feeling.
Right. That distinct sinking feeling. You reach for a sophisticated vocabulary word, hoping to sound like this seasoned expert, but instead you just end up confusing everyone in the room. So what if trying to sound too smart is actually, the number one thing lowering your fluency score?
It's honestly a psychological trap. I mean, almost every advanced language learner falls into it eventually. We refer to it as generic vocabulary swapping.
Generic vocabulary swapping.
Exactly. It is this deeply held but completely false belief that replacing a basic functional word with a longer, more complicated synonym will just automatically elevate your language level.
But it doesn't.
No, not at all. Without a master's grip on the precise context, the collocations, and the grammar that word demands, the strategy completely backfires. You end up sounding like a thesaurus that suddenly gained sentience, rather than a fluent human speaker.
Sentient thesaurus. I love that. And that brings us perfectly to our mission today. We're looking at the 50 most commonly overused words in English writing and conversation. We are going to deconstruct how to upgrade them with highly precise synonyms, and more importantly, how to avoid that fatal trap of generic vocabulary swapping.
Right, 50 words.
That's right, we have exactly 50 key points today, 50 essential words and their advanced B2 and C1 alternatives.
And you will definitely want to stick around until the very end of this one. We're going to reveal a bonus lesson on the single biggest mistake people make when attempting to memorize new vocabulary.
Oh, that's a crucial one.
Yeah, we will break down a bulletproof, scientifically backed method to actually lock what you learn into your long-term memory, just ensuring you aren't staring at a blank page when it's time to speak or write.
Welcome to English Learning Podcast for daily life, real conversations, and easy listening practice. So before we jump into the actual mechanics, where did this specific list of 50 words actually come from?
Well, this deep dive is based on a massive linguistic analysis. So language experts recently fed 100 top-tier, highly scored academic essays into analytical software.
Like Band 8 and Band 9 level essays.
Exactly, the absolute highest bands of English proficiency. They were looking for very specific lexical patterns. The experts basically wanted to identify which common words showed up repeatedly in average writing, and then contrast that with the precise vocabulary the highest scoring writers used in those exact same contexts.
So it's not just about memorizing a list?
No, not at all. The goal here isn't rote memorization. Our mission is to dissect the context. We really need to understand the underlying mechanics of why one word commands respect, while another just sounds completely unnatural.
Makes sense. And to make sure you, the listener, actually absorb these mechanics. This isn't going to be a passive lecture. So if you are listening to this in your car, or washing the dishes, or maybe walking the dog right now, I want you to try rolling these words around in your mouth when we prompt you.
Yes, vocalize them.
Practicing the pronunciation and feeling the physical mechanics of the words, that is how you build linguistic muscle memory.
Absolutely.
So before we can start describing the complex world around us, we need to know how to form a structurally sound argument about it. Let's look at expressing opinions and importance. Let's start with word 24 from our list, which is believe.
Right, so believe is highly functional for everyday life. Like you say, I believe it will rain today, or I believe I left my keys on the counter.
Sure, very common.
But in a formal, academic, or professional context, believe is actually structurally weak.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Because it implies a personal feeling, right? A gut instinct or a guess. If you are writing a persuasive essay or delivering a boardroom presentation, you need a verb that carries evidentiary weight. So instead of believe, you should pivot to the word argue.
Wait, if I use argue in an essay, doesn't that sound slightly aggressive, like I'm picking a fight with the person reading it?
That is a very common misconception. In academic English, to argue does not mean to yell at someone. It means to present a logical, reasoned case backed by evidence.
Ah, okay.
So when you write, I would argue that censorship in the media is sometimes justified. You are signaling to the reader that you are about to present concrete facts. You are establishing intellectual authority. And if you want to elevate it even further, you can use the verb contend.
Contend. Oh, that definitely has a heavier ring to it. How does the nuance shift there?
Well, contend implies you are entering a crowded intellectual arena. You are putting forward a formal position against opposing viewpoints. Like, Some contend that censorship is justified. It is a highly sophisticated way of framing a debate without sounding personally emotional about the topic.
I like that a lot. Let's apply that same logic of precision to word 2, which is important. I mean, this word is a crutch. We use it constantly. This is important. That is important.
We really do.
Calling an issue important is kind of like using a massive paint roller to paint a portrait, right? It covers the canvas, but it gives the listener zero detail about how or why it actually matters.
Precisely. To show real lexical range, you must use descriptive synonyms that carry specific flavors of urgency. So the two most effective alternatives here are crucial and vital.
Crucial and vital.
Yes. So crucial originates from the Latin word crux, meaning a cross or a crossroads. It means something is the decisive point for future success. Which path you take at the crossroads is crucial.
Wow, I never knew that origin.
Yeah. And vital, conversely, stems from vita, Latin word for life. So it suggests something is fundamentally essential for existence itself.
So it is essentially a matter of a fork in the road versus a matter of life and death. Like, if my business is losing money, a new marketing strategy is crucial. But if the building is actively on fire, finding an exit is vital.
That is the exact distinction examiners look for. Using vital to describe a new marketing strategy might sound slightly melodramatic.
I see. Okay, if you are walking or driving right now, try saying this out loud. Notice how the hard C's sound in crucial inherently gives the sentence more authority than the soft start of important. Pause and repeat this out loud. It is crucial for young people to learn a second language.
Let them try it.
Awesome. It just commands the space, doesn't it? That brings us to word 3, good. I mean, what does good even communicate? Good pizza, good dog, good economic policy. It is entirely devoid of meaning.
It is a total lexical void. If you want a higher fluency score, specificity is non-negotiable. So you want to describe a good effect, the precise term is beneficial. Right. Beneficial explicitly states that something provides a tangible advantage or form of help. Like spending time in nature has a beneficial effect on mental health.
Makes sense.
But if you are looking for a highly direct, academic-sounding alternative that removes all ambiguity, you use positive. Spending time in nature has a positive effect.
Okay, what about word 14, necessary? We declare things are necessary all the time, but just like important, it can fall incredibly flat.
Well, to upgrade necessary, we look at essential and imperative. Essential means something is absolutely fundamental.
Yeah.
It is part of the core essence of the thing. Like, it is essential for individuals to take personal responsibility.
And imperative.
Well, if you want to dial up the psychological intensity, you deploy the word imperative.
Imperative. That word actually sounds like a command. It just sounds urgent.
It sounds like a command because it shares its roots with the word emperor. It implies extreme urgency and an undeniable duty.
Oh.
Yeah, so it is imperative that the board takes immediate action. When you use imperative, you are basically informing your audience that time is of the essence. Delay is not an option.
Let's shift gears a bit to describing the physical size or scope of something. Words 43 and 49, significant and general.
Right, so significant simply means large or important enough to be worthy of attention. To demonstrate advanced vocabulary, swap it with substantial or considerable.
Substantial and considerable.
Notice the collocations here too. You wouldn't just say a significant increase. You say a substantial increase in renewable energy or a considerable amount of time.
Yeah.
Both words strongly imply physical weight, size, or just a large quantifiable amount.
Okay, and what about general?
As for general, which refers to what is true for the majority, you can upgrade to overall or broadly.
Broadly.
Yeah, like broadly speaking, the public agrees with the new tax laws. It demonstrates you are considering the entire landscape from kind of a bird's eye view.
That's a great visual. But when you are making these broad, substantial arguments, who are you actually talking about? We use the word people so much it practically loses all meaning. This leads us perfectly into the human sphere. And listener, be careful here, because calling a teenager a toddler in an essay will absolutely ruin your sentence.
Oh, it really will. Moving from abstract arguments to the actual humans making them requires incredible precision. Let's examine word 1, people, and word 18, individual.
People is arguably the most fatigued word in the English language.
Definitely. I mean, if you write a 500-word essay and rely on people throughout the entire text, your writing will immediately be flagged as basic, regardless of how good your grammar is.
So what is the mechanical fix? Because I know we can't just throw individuals everywhere and hope it works.
No, the fix is analyzing the context of the action. So if you are discussing singular human beings acting on their own distinct volition, use individuals, like many individuals believe the government should lower taxes.
Right.
However, if you're discussing a collective group acting as a unified entity, you use the public. The public is demanding better health care. Notice how the grammar shifts there. Individuals believe. The public is demanding.
Oh, I see. What if I want to refer to one single human, like replacing the word individual as a noun?
You can just replace individual with a person if you want a neutral, singular focus. The rights of each person must be protected. But if you want to highlight their legal or social relationship to the country they live in, you use citizen. The rights of the citizen must be protected.
You know, generic vocabulary swapping is exactly like picking shoes for an event. You wouldn't wear stiletto high heels to run a marathon just because high heels are considered fancy.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, like, yes, they are both technically footwear, but the context of a marathon makes high heels a total disaster. You will literally fall flat on your face. So the grammatical structure and the sociological context of the sentence matter just as much as the definition of the word itself.
That analogy perfectly captures the mechanism of failure here. You cannot run a marathon in high heels, and you cannot haphazardly swap age groups in an essay just because you found a fancy synonym in a thesaurus. Which brings us to a massive score-destroying pitfall, word 10, children, and word 30, adults.
Let's dissect children first. Our listeners obviously know what the word means, but how do we distinguish between the advanced synonyms?
Let's start with conversational or informal settings. Youngsters is a fantastic alternative for spoken English. It is vital that youngsters get enough outdoor exercise.
Youngsters, yeah.
If you want to refer to the demographic collectively, perhaps in a sociology paper, use the youth or young people. And if you are writing a highly formal, legal, or administrative piece, the correct term is minors.
Oh, hold on. We have a massive spelling pitfall warning here. Listener, pay very close attention to how you spell the word minors.
Yes, it is a critical error examiners see constantly. Minors spelled with an O, M-I-N-O-R-S, refers to a person who is legally underage. Minors spelled with an E, M-I-N-E-R-S, refers to a person who goes underground with a pickaxe and a hard hat to extract coal or diamonds from the earth.
Completely different.
Completely. If you write an essay stating it is vital that minors are restricted from viewing violent video games, the examiner will be utterly baffled as to why you were so concerned about the media consumption of middle-aged men working in coal shafts.
It completely derails the argument. It's so funny but tragic. What about the specific developmental ages of children? Because I see learners mix these up in writing all the time because they just memorize a list of synonyms.
Right. This is a classic high heels in a marathon scenario. Infants strictly refers to babies in their first 12 months of life. Toddlers are children roughly 2 to 3 years old. The word literally comes from the fact that they are just learning to toddle or walk unsteadily.
Oh, toddle. I never put that together.
Yeah. And adolescents, or teenagers, strictly covers the ages of 13 to 17. So if your essay analyzes the stress levels of 16-year-old high school students, and you use the word toddler just to avoid repeating students, you have completely failed to communicate.
Okay, what about the older end of the spectrum? Word 30, adults.
For adults, you can deploy grown-ups in a slightly less formal conversational context. Many grown-ups are struggling with the transition to remote work.
Grown-ups, right.
But if you want to establish a very formal, highly respectful tone, particularly when discussing age-related policies, use mature individuals. Mature individuals often require different approaches to digital literacy.
Okay, let's expand our view from the individual to the group. Word 28, family. I mean, we talk about families constantly. How do we elevate that vocabulary without sounding totally bizarre?
Think about the physical architectural space. Instead of family, you can use the word household. The average household size has shrunk over the last decade. A household strictly refers to the people living together under one single roof. And if you require a highly formal sociological term, perhaps for an advanced academic thesis on demographics, you can use domestic unit, the economic stability of the domestic unit.
But if I use domestic unit at a dinner party, like, hey, pass the potatoes to my domestic unit, I'm going to sound like a malfunctioning robot.
Precisely. Domestic unit belongs strictly on paper or in a university lecture hall, never at a dinner party.
Good to know. Let's look at word 7, society, word 9, community, and word 31, social.
Okay.
Instead of saying society, I often hear learners try to use the general populace. Doesn't that sound incredibly pretentious? I mean, if I say that in a speaking exam, won't the examiner think I just swallowed a dictionary?
Well, it depends entirely on the framing. If you are asked what you did over the weekend and you say, "Oh, I observed the general populace," then yes, you sound pretentious. But if you are asked to analyze the impact of inflation, saying inflation has severely impacted the purchasing power of the general populace, that sounds authoritative and precise. Notice how we took one word, society, and swapped it out for a three-word noun phrase, the general populace.
That's a really good point.
Showing lexical range doesn't just mean a one-to-one word replacement. For social, you can utilize adjectives like communal, relating specifically to shared community resources, like communal green spaces, or societal, which is a macro-level word referring to society as a whole, like societal expectations.
You know, you used an interesting phrase just now, swap it out. Let's examine this phrasal verb. What are the mechanics of swapping something out?
Yeah. To swap out means to exchange one physical or conceptual item for another. You remove the original piece and seamlessly integrate a new one in its place.
Like tires.
Exactly. You can swap out winter tires for summer tires. Or you can swap out refined sugar for honey in a baking recipe. But as we've been hammering home today, you must never blindly swap out vocabulary without auditing the grammatical context first.
Let's put this into active practice. We are going to run a quick role play of a daily conversation, so you, the listener, can hear how these words flow in real-world dialogue. I'll initiate. Hey, I notice a lot of youngsters playing in the park lately. It seems like this community is experiencing a bit of a boom.
Yes, the demographics are definitely shifting. Actually, the average household size in our neighborhood has increased over the last year. The local populace is getting noticeably younger.
Perfect. Now, listener, it's your turn to engage. If someone asks you, do you think the youth in your community have enough activities to do? I want you to pause and answer out loud, specifically incorporating the word beneficial. Go ahead.
Give it a try.
Great. You could naturally say something like, they have some options, but building more sports facilities would be highly beneficial for their development. See how smoothly that elevates the sentence.
It really does.
So we've mapped out the human element, from toddlers to the general populace, but where do all these people actually live? Our next step is scaling up from the neighborhood street corner to the entire planet.
We are expanding our geographical scope. Let's dissect word 33, local, word 42, national, and word 19, global.
These are fundamentally words of scale, right?
Exactly. They define the boundaries of the issue you were discussing. For local, instead of constantly referencing a local business, use a compound adjective like community-based business. This hyphenated phrase emphasizes that the entity serves the people immediately surrounding it.
Community-based. I like that.
Or you can employ neighborhood, like a neighborhood watch initiative, which scales it down to a very specific, walkable residential radius. For national, you can use nationwide, meaning extending from border to border across the entire country, like a nationwide transportation strike.
What about domestic?
Yes, domestic, as in domestic policy. Domestic is an excellent word because it explicitly contrasts with foreign or international affairs.
How do we upgrade global without just saying the whole world?
Well, you can use worldwide as in a worldwide supply chain issue. Alternatively, use international, which is highly specific. International doesn't just mean big. It means you are specifically referencing the involvement or cooperation of two or more sovereign nations working together, like an international treaty.
Now, when we operate at these massive scales, we inevitably have to discuss the entities making the rules. That brings us to word 6, government, and word 32, public, as an adjective.
The word government is the central stakeholder in almost every macro-level discussion, be it education, healthcare, or infrastructure. But repeating, the government should do this, the government should do that, makes your writing incredibly repetitive.
So what's the alternative?
Instead, pivot to the authorities. The authorities are responsible for regulating the market. The authority is a brilliant umbrella term for anyone holding legal power in a given context. Or you can use the state. The state must provide adequate funding. The state refers to the organized governing body of a nation.
I want to inject a quick note on neutrality here for our listeners. Does using the state sound a bit dystopian or authoritarian, like something out of a science fiction novel?
It can if you pair it with the wrong collocations. Like if you say the state is watching you, it sounds totally dystopian. But if you say state-funded education, it sounds highly professional and academic.
Right.
We are presenting these vocabulary words neutrally. So whether you lean left, right, or center on political issues, you need impartial, universally understood words, like the authorities and the state, to engage in these complex conversations objectively.
That distinction between dystopian and academic is all about the collocations. And speaking of state-funded, let's look at the adjective public. We talk about public transportation or public schools. How do we elevate that?
By identifying the funding source, say state-run or state-funded, investment in state-run transport networks. It specifies exactly who manages the entity.
What about civic?
Yes, you can also utilize the word civic, like civic duty or civic engagement. Civic relates directly to the responsibilities and duties a citizen owes to their town or state, such as voting, paying taxes, or obeying local laws.
So we have the scale and we have the rule makers. What about the physical stage where all of this plays out? Word 9, environment.
Environment is a staple topic in every language exam. To inject variety, you can use the phrase the natural world. Protecting the natural world requires international cooperation.
The natural world. Beautiful.
If you want to adopt a highly scientific, analytical tone, use ecosystems. This is a scalpel of a word. Ecosystems refers to the highly complex, delicately balanced network of living organisms interacting with their physical environment. A coral reef is an ecosystem. A rainforest is an ecosystem.
And if we want to talk about the whole thing,
Finally, if you want to emphasize the sheer unavoidable global scale of a climate issue, simply use the planet. Decarbonizing the economy is the greatest challenge facing the planet.
let's run another role play. Weather and the environment are the ultimate universal small talk topics. Let's model how to navigate a conversation about unexpected weather without relying on basic vocabulary. I'll start. Did you catch the news about the extreme flooding? It feels like these anomalous storms are becoming a truly worldwide issue.
I did. It's incredibly concerning how rapidly it's destabilizing our delicate ecosystems. I read that several state-run environmental agencies are petitioning to improve the coastal flood defenses.
I hope the authorities allocate the budget quickly to protect the natural world before the next season hits.
Nice.
Listener, try it yourself. I want you to pause and repeat this exact phrase, focusing on the rhythm. It is a worldwide issue that affects our ecosystems.
Give it a shot.
Excellent. Just rolling those syllables, worldwide ecosystems, it builds that muscular confidence. I just want to take a brief pause here. If you are listening right now, you are putting in the serious, unglamorous work. You are actively building your confidence, you are stretching your lexical range, and you are taking your English fluency to the highest level. If you are enjoying this deep dive, and you can physically feel your vocabulary growing, please take 1 second to like, share, and subscribe right now on whatever platform you are using. It is the #1 thing that helps us bring you more of this exact kind of analytical content.
It truly does. And we love seeing a community of dedicated, high-level learners growing together in the comments.
Okay, let's get back into it. So far, you are speaking beautifully about the geography of the world, the government, and the environment, but how do we describe fixing the problems within those systems? Because a beautiful vocabulary is useless if you can't describe action. Coming up, the action verbs that will instantly boost your fluency score.
Since we've mapped out societal and global issues, we absolutely require the dynamic action verbs to talk about solutions. Let's start with word 5, increase, and word 12, improve.
Increase is a word I feel like I use 20 times a day, especially when discussing data.
It is functionally essential, but we can upgrade its impact. Instead of increase, deploy the word boost. The central bank plans to boost investment in infrastructure.
Right.
Yeah, boost is a significantly stronger, much more dynamic verb. It carries kinetic energy. Alternatively, you can use raise. They plan to raise the minimum wage. Raise often indicates initiating a completely new policy to push baseline numbers higher.
And for improve,
For improve, you can use enhance. We must implement protocols to enhance workplace safety. Enhance means to intentionally and carefully intensify the quality, value, or extent of something.
Now, here's a word that I see floating around on advanced C2 vocabulary lists all the time as a synonym for improve, and I know there is a massive pitfall warning attached to it. The word is ameliorate.
Ah, yes, ameliorate. It is a stunning, high-level, incredibly formal word that means to make a bad or unsatisfactory situation better. We must take immediate steps to ameliorate the housing crisis.
So what's the pitfall?
Here's the critical pitfall. Language examiners see this word constantly, and they see it misspelled or misused almost every single time. It is spelled A-M-E-L-I-O-R-A-T-E.
Misspelling a fancy word is like wearing a fake Rolex to a watch convention, isn't it? It actively damages your credibility more than wearing no watch at all.
That is the perfect analogy. If you write an essay and use a complex word like ameliorate but misspell it, the examiner does not think, oh, they're so smart for attempting that word. They think, this candidate memorized a list and lacks the actual foundational knowledge to use this vocabulary.
It just backfires.
Completely. It will heavily penalize your lexical resource score. It is always, always better to use a simpler word correctly, like enhance, than a complex word incorrectly.
Write that down in permanent ink. Better simple and correct than complex and wrong. All right, let's group a cluster of solution-oriented words together. Word 13, effective. Word 46, successful. And word 44, possible.
If a solution is effective, meaning it gets the job done, you can call it productive, meaning it actively produces the desired results. Stricter financial penalties are a productive deterrent to corporate fraud. Or you can use a word with incredible weight, potent, a potent deterrent.
Wait, doesn't potent usually refer to medicine or poison? Like a potent venom?
It does, which is exactly why it works so well metaphorically. Potent means it has an incredibly strong, undeniable, almost chemical effect on a situation.
I love that. What about successful?
If a solution is successful, particularly in a business, academic, or financial context, you can call it fruitful, like a tree bearing a heavy harvest. The diplomatic discussion was highly fruitful. Or use prosperous, which specifically denotes financial success and wealth generation.
And possible.
Finally, if a solution is possible, use feasible. It is economically feasible to transition to solar energy. Feasible means it is structurally convenient and practical to execute. You could also use viable, like a viable business plan, meaning it is actually capable of surviving and working successfully in the harsh reality of the real world.
I really love the imagery of fruitful. A fruitful conversation yields tangible, healthy ideas, just like fruit from a branch. Let's look at 3 more fundamental action verbs. Word 22, help. Word 23, provide. And word 25, create.
Instead of the basic elementary word help, upgrade to assist or aid. Mentorship programs can assist struggling students. It sounds much more structured and authoritative than help.
And for provide.
Instead of provide, use supply. Modern libraries supply crucial access to digital databases, which implies you are fulfilling a vital, ongoing need. Or use offer. The university offers financial aid, which implies you are presenting something for people to either accept or reject of their own free will.
What about create?
For create, use generate. Tax cuts designed to generate more jobs. We conventionally use generate for abstract but quantifiable things like revenue, electricity, or employment. Or you can use establish. The committee aims to establish a new regulatory framework, which implies building something firmly on a long-term, permanent foundation.
Let's focus on a fantastic phrasal verb here, come up with. I hear native speakers use this constantly when talking about creating or brainstorming.
Yes. To come up with means to invent, produce, or actively think of an idea, a plan, or a solution out of thin air. We need to come up with a more viable marketing strategy. Or she came up with a brilliant workaround for the software bug.
It's very common in offices.
Extremely. It is slightly informal, making it absolutely perfect for spoken English and conversational exams. It sounds incredibly fluid, natural, and highly fluent.
So we've solved the global supply chain, we've come up with viable policies, and we've established frameworks. But what about the listener's personal journey? Next, we are diving deep into the vocabulary of work, school, and career progression.
Applying these action verbs to our personal development is critical for daily conversation. Let's tackle the learning ecosystem first. Word 26, education. Word 11, students. And word 29, teachers.
Education is such a core, unavoidable topic. You can't escape it.
You can't. Which is why education as a singular word is far too broad. To demonstrate precision, you can use schooling, which refers strictly to the formal, structured instruction you receive inside an institutional building. Access to quality early childhood schooling is crucial.
And outside of a building.
On the other hand, you can use learning, which is a fluid, lifelong concept. Continuous lifelong learning is vital for modern professional development. You can engage in learning absolutely anywhere, but you can only get schooling inside a school.
How do we differentiate the people involved, the students and the teachers?
Instead of just saying students, use learners. Learners emphasizes the active psychological act of absorbing knowledge rather than just the passive state of being enrolled.
What about pupils?
You can use pupils, but be highly careful with the context. Pupils is strictly reserved for school-age children, typically in primary or secondary education. You would never, ever call a 22-year-old university engineering student a pupil.
Right.
For university students, particularly those engaged in high-level research, you can use scholars.
Okay, and for teachers?
For teachers, the broadest, most formal umbrella term is educators. But we can be more precise. If you are talking about someone who provides private instruction to individuals or very small groups, they are tutors. And if they are teaching a highly specific physical or practical skill, like driving a car, scuba diving, or playing the piano, they are instructors. You have a driving instructor, not a driving educator.
The marathon in high heels strikes again. Context dictates the noun. Let's talk about the results produced by that schooling. Word 37, skills, and word 36, experience.
In a corporate or business context, instead of listing your skills, you should discuss your abilities or competencies. The training program focuses on developing core leadership competencies. Competencies refers to the specific, measurable skills required to perform a job effectively.
What if someone is just incredibly skilled?
If you want to describe an elite, tippy-top, almost intimidating level of skill, you use the word prowess. He was widely admired for his intellectual prowess.
Prowess. It sounds almost medieval, like a knight showing prowess in battle.
It has exactly that historical weight, which is why it sounds so impressive when applied to modern intellect or athletics.
And for experience?
For experience, you can break it down into practical knowledge, which highlights the dirty your hands real-world aspect of having actually executed the work. Or you can use expertise, a powerful noun implying a master-level, authoritative grasp of a complex subject.
Let's transition out of the classroom and walk into the corporate office. Word 16, work. Word 17, companies. And word 40, economic.
Instead of the generic work, you can use employment, finding fulfilling employment in a competitive market. Employment is formal, but it can refer to short-term or temporary situations.
Versus a career.
Exactly. If you want to describe a long-term, deliberate professional journey, you use career. A job or employment is what pays your bills today. A career is the narrative you build over a lifetime.
And companies.
For companies, you can use corporations, but caution. Corporations specifically refers to massive, multinational, legally structured entities like Google, Toyota, or Apple. If you were referencing the local family-owned bakery on the corner, use businesses, a safer general term for any commercial organization.
What about economic?
For economic, precision is key. You can use financial, which relates specifically to the management of money, budgets, and personal wealth. But if you are discussing central banks, inflation, and interest rates, the scientifically precise word is monetary. The central bank aggressively adjusted its monetary policy.
And the invisible engine driving all of this modern business. Word 8, technology, and word 38, information.
For technology, if you are focusing on the abstract philosophical concept of new ideas and creative disruption, use innovation, the rapid pace of technological innovation.
And the actual devices.
If you are talking about the actual physical or virtual items, the computers, the AI algorithms, the software apps, use digital tools. Digital tools have fundamentally transformed how we manage remote teams.
Makes sense. And for information?
For information, we have data, which represents the raw, unprocessed facts, figures, and statistics. Once that raw data is organized, analyzed, and understood by a human mind, it elevates to become knowledge. The internet allows for the instant, worldwide sharing of knowledge.
Oh, I have to pause and point this out because it is one of my absolute favorite linguistic quirks. The word data is technically plural.
Yes, it is.
One single lonely fact is a datum, D-A-T-U-M. Multiple facts are data. But in contemporary English, we almost always treat data as a singular mass noun. You say the data shows, not the data show. Just a fun little trap to be aware of.
A very fun trap.
We are officially rounding the corner on our 50 words, but our final section holds the most common, most embarrassing mistake of all. Do you actually know the mechanical difference between common and popular? Getting this wrong in a conversation can lead to a highly awkward interaction.
This is the final polish. We are looking at how we describe the frequency, the variety, and the structural realities of our daily existence. Let's group word 20, modern, word 34, time, and word 35, life.
How do we upgrade these massive philosophical concepts?
Instead of modern, use contemporary or present day. Contemporary urban lifestyles are often characterized by high stress. It sounds deeply academic and observant.
And for time?
For time, if you specifically mean free time away from work, explicitly call it leisure hours, a reduction in available leisure hours. If you mean a grand, distinct period in history, call it an era. In a bygone era, communities were more tightly knit.
And life.
For life, which is conceptually way too broad to be useful in an essay, you can use existence, which leans a bit philosophical. The digital age has altered human existence. Or you can use lifestyles, which focuses sharply on the specific, practical manner in which people choose to conduct their daily routines.
Let's zoom in on word 41, personal, and word 45, available.
For personal, you can use individual, an individual choice. Or use private, which is a magnificent word because it explicitly draws a boundary. It means something is strictly not for public consumption or government interference. Medical records are a strictly private matter.
And available.
For available, use accessible, meaning it is easy to reach, enter, or use. The new healthcare funding is highly accessible to rural clinics. Or use obtainable, which simply means it is physically capable of being acquired.
Word 15, different. Word 21, many, and word 50, more. These are the ultimate words of variety and quantity.
Instead of different, use various or diverse. There are highly diverse approaches to solving this engineering problem. Diverse emphasizes a wide, rich range of distinctly unique types.
Instead of many.
You can say numerous, or a large number of. Numerous economic experts argue, and to replace the repetitive more, you can use greater, we need to allocate greater resources, or additional, we must provide additional funding. It sounds vastly more emphatic and formal.
Okay, here we are, the big finale. Word 47, popular, versus word 48, common.
This is a psychological trap that catches so many advanced learners because the translation in their native language often blurs the lines. Let's define the mechanics clearly. Popular means something is actively well-liked, enjoyed, and sought after by many people. Common simply means that something happens frequently or exists in large statistical numbers, regardless of how people feel about it.
I know you have a brilliant story that illustrates exactly why mixing these two up is a total disaster in the real world.
I do. So a fellow language expert was sharing an anecdote about taking a taxi through Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. If you've ever been to that incredible city, you know the motorbike traffic is famously dense.
Very dense.
He was sitting in the back of a cab in a massive gridlocked traffic jam, surrounded by thousands of honking motorbikes, sweating in the heat. And a student of his who was in the car looked out the window and confidently said, "Traffic jams are very popular in Vietnam."
Oh no.
Absolutely not. You would never, ever say traffic jams are popular because nobody likes sitting in a hot, noisy traffic jam. People hate them. They are common. They happen frequently, they are an everyday occurrence, but they are absolutely not popular.
That is such a painfully vivid image. I just love this gridlock. It's so popular. So how do we upgrade these two words safely without walking into that trap?
If something is truly popular, genuinely liked by many, you can say it is widespread or prevalent. The use of streaming services has become widespread. If something is common, happening often, like a traffic jam, you can also say it is widespread. But if you want to deploy a truly elite C2 level word to describe something that is common everywhere you look, you use the word ubiquitous.
Ubiquitous. U-B-I-Q-U-I-T-U-S. That is an incredibly tough one to spell under pressure.
It means appearing, found, or seemingly present absolutely everywhere at once. Smartphones have become entirely ubiquitous in modern society. But here is the Rolex spelling trap again.
The fake Rolex.
Yes. If you are sitting in a testing hall, the clock is ticking, and you are unsure how to spell ubiquitous, do not guess. If you misspell it on a written test, you lose points. If you mispronounce it in a speaking exam, you break your fluency. Instead, fall back on the simpler word, frequent. Car accidents are a frequent occurrence. Lexical range is vital, but grammatical accuracy matters most of all.
That is incredibly practical advice for anyone staring down an exam paper. And that brings us to the end of our 50 advanced words. But as promised at the very beginning of this deep dive, we are not done yet. It is time to reveal our bonus lesson. We have spent an hour talking about the biggest mistakes people make when using vocabulary in context. But what is the biggest mistake people make when attempting to memorize that vocabulary in the first place?
The single biggest, most detrimental mistake is memorizing long alphabetical lists of words in pure isolation, without learning how to wire them into the context of a sentence. We said it at the beginning, don't just swap words blindly. Memorizing the translation of an advanced English word into your native language does not mean you actually know how it functions grammatically in an English sentence.
So, if rote memorization fails, what is the bulletproof scientific method to actually lock what we've learned today into our long-term memory?
Instead of isolated repetition, try learning words by actively identifying their opposite. The opposite of a synonym is an antonym. When your brain links two heavily contrasting concepts together, it creates a neurological web that cements both of them in your memory permanently.
It's interesting.
For example, don't just learn the word local on a flashcard. Learn local and instantly link it directly to global. Don't just learn the concept of private, link it with a heavy mental chain to public. When you learn in pairs of opposites, you create a filing system in your brain that makes retrieval much faster during a stressful real-world conversation.
That makes a lot of sense.
And secondly, you must transition to using an English-to-English dictionary. Look up the exact definitions, read the collocations, and study the example sentences. To reach true fluency, you have to cut the cord with your native language and become an independent, context-driven learner.
That is such a powerful, actionable strategy. Opposites attract memory. Let's do a really quick, rapid-fire review of some standout, advanced words and phrases we unpacked today.
Let's do it.
We talked about the trap of ameliorate, meaning to formally make a bad situation better, but remember, only use it if you can spell it perfectly. We learned prowess, meaning elite, almost medieval high-level skill. We used contemporary as a sleek academic replacement for modern. And we covered some incredibly natural phrasal verbs like to swap out, to seamlessly exchange one item for another, and to come up with, to invent, brainstorm, or produce an idea out of thin air.
Those are fantastic high-leverage additions to anyone's linguistic arsenal.
Now, it is your turn to engage. Yes, you, listening right now. We want to hear directly from you. I have 3 specific questions for you to answer in the comments below, or just answer them in your head if you're on the move. First, what complex linguistic topic should be covered in our next deep dive? Second, what is one entirely new vocabulary word you learned today? And third, what new idiom or phrasal verb are you going to use in a conversation this week? Let us know.
And if you have the discipline and the stamina to make it all the way to the very end of this extensive deep dive, I want you to prove it. Go to the comment section right now and type the exact phrase, I am consistent.
I'm consistent. Because consistency, not raw intelligence, not flashy memorization, is the real, undeniable secret to long-term fluency. Please take a brief moment to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep producing these in-depth lexical deep dives for you. Remember, we have many more listening practices and deep dives available on our channel right now to help you build that immersion. Also, be sure to check the description box below for direct links to advanced English learning articles and our totally free email resources.
Before we officially sign off, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought. We've spent all of today analyzing advanced contemporary vocabulary. But language is not a static textbook. It is a living, breathing, constantly evolving organism.
Very true.
100 years from now, which of the 50 advanced words we meticulously studied today do you think will become completely obsolete? Which ones will sound ridiculously old-fashioned, replaced by a piece of hyper-fast digital slang that hasn't even been invented yet? Keep your ears open to the realities of how people actually speak.
Until next time, keep analyzing, keep pushing your boundaries, and keep learning.